My brother, my sister, stop scrolling for a moment. Because if you're hearing this right now, this is not random. Allah has been sending you signs. And this might be one of them. Allah speaks through what He removes. You begged Allah to bless this relationship. Every sajda carried their name. Every tear fell with a silent dua. Ya Allah, keep them in my life. I can't lose them. You thought they were the one. You saw your future with them. You imagined every plan, every dream, every moment. And so you begged Allah to make this job work. You prayed with your whole heart. Ya Rab, this is my chance, my breakthrough, my risk. You thought this was the door. You believed this was the path. You begged Him to keep this opportunity alive. You told yourself, if I just get this one thing, everything will fall into place. And then it all collapsed. The person you thought you couldn't live without left. The job you thought was written for you slipped away. The door you kept knocking on closed so tightly you couldn't breathe. And you sat there broken, confused, numbered. Your heart whispered, why, Ya Allah, why did you take this from me? You searched for answers, but silence filled the air. You called it heartbreak, you called it rejection, you called it failure. But what if it was none of those things? What if it was Allah's mercy? What if it was divine rescue disguised as pain? And sometimes Allah loves you so deeply that He removes what you're begging Him to give, not because He wants to hurt you, not because He doesn't care, but because He knows something you cannot see. He knows the future that waits behind your choices. He sees the heartbreak that hasn't arrived yet. He sees the betrayal hidden behind smiles. He sees the pain you'd never survive if He gave you what you wanted. And so He protects you. But protection doesn't always feel like protection, and sometimes it feels like abandonment. It feels like punishment. It feels like Allah is ignoring your du'as, yet He is closer to you in that moment than at any time you've ever lived. You cry in sujood, thinking your words are unheard, but the same Rab who hears the footsteps of an ant in the dark, hears the whispers of your heart before they even reach your tongue, and yet still He takes it away because He loves you more than you love yourself. Because He knows the fire you're running toward while you only see its light. But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. Read that again slowly. You do not know. You see what's in front of you. Allah sees what's around the corner. You see a door. Allah sees what's behind the door. You see a person's smile. Allah sees the tests their heart carries. You see a job that glitters. Allah sees the weight it would crush you with. And so when He says no, it isn't rejection, it's redirection, it's protection, it's love in its purest form. Sometimes Allah takes away what you thought was your everything to give you something beyond what you could dream. But your hands are too full right now with what He's trying to remove. And so He clears them, even if it hurts, even if you cry, even if you beg Him to stop. Because He loves you more than the thing you're asking Him for. I know you don't see it now. I know it feels cruel. I know it feels lonely. But one day, when you're standing in the blessing He was preparing for you, you'll look back and whisper through tears, Ya Allah, thank you for not giving me what I once begged for. And on that day, you'll understand something beautiful. His silence was never neglect. His no was never rejection. It was always Him writing a better yes for you. A yes you couldn't yet imagine. Stop fighting for what Allah is fighting to protect you from. Stop begging for the doors He has locked in His mercy. Stop chasing people He has already removed from your path. And because when Allah takes something from you, He is not subtracting. He is making space for healing, space for clarity, space for blessings that require both hands open to hold. Trust Him even when it hurts, even when you don't understand, even when your heart screams for answers. Because the same hands that close doors today are the hands that will open gates tomorrow. And when He opens, it will make sense of everything. You see, my brother, my sister, we only see what's in front of us. We make plans based on what we think we know, but Allah sees it all. He sees what you don't. He knows what your heart cannot understand yet. He knows the roads that look smooth today, but lead straight into storms tomorrow. And so He blocks them, not to punish you, not to break you, but to save you from a heartbreak you didn't know was coming. How many times did you beg for someone to stay, only to learn later why Allah made them leave? How many times did you cry over a lost opportunity, only to realize years later that it wasn't meant for you? At first it hurts, it confuses you, it shakes your heart, but later you see the wisdom, you see the mercy, you see the love, and you whisper, Ya Allah, you knew all along. This is why He says in the Quran, Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. This ayah is not just an instruction, it is comfort, it is reassurance. It is Allah reminding you, trust me when it doesn't make sense. Trust me when it breaks your heart. Trust me when everything feels silent. Because silence is also an answer. When Allah takes something away and gives you nothing in return, not yet, that is the return. That pause is protection. That delay is preparation. Sometimes Allah removes someone from your life because He heard a conversation you didn't. Sometimes He ends your plan because He knows it will cost you more than it will give you. Sometimes He closes a door because He knows what waits on the other side would have crushed you completely. This is not punishment, this is love, but we don't see it that way, do we? We hold on tighter when Allah asks us to let go. We cry louder when He's asking us to trust Him. We keep begging for something He has already written as not yours. And so we suffer, not because Allah has abandoned us, but because we refuse to surrender. You know, there's a hidden mercy in what Allah removes. He doesn't just take away what harms you, He replaces it. Not always immediately, not always in the way you expect, but He always replaces it with something better for your dunya or better for your akhirah, or both. Sometimes He replaces the person you lost with a peace you've never known. Sometimes He replaces the job you wanted with a risk that carries no burden, no heartbreak, no sleepless nights. Sometimes He replaces your failed plan with a path you couldn't even imagine for yourself. But until you let go, your hands stay too full for Him to give you more. So He pulls it away. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because He wants to free you. One day when you look back, you will realize this was Allah's gentleness. That heartbreak that kept you awake at night, it saved you. That person you thought you couldn't live without, losing them gave you life again. That door that slammed shut in your face, it redirected you to one far greater. And one day you'll stand in the place Allah was leading you to and whisper through tears, Ya Allah, this is what you were preparing me for all along. Trust this, my brother, my sister. His silence is not neglect. His no is not rejection. It is a better yes written in a language you can't yet read. Your Rabb knows the weight your heart can carry. He knows the exact moment you'll be ready for the blessing you've been asking for. And until then, He protects you from it. So stop chasing the things Allah has removed. Stop clinging to the people He has released from your story. Stop knocking on doors He has sealed shut in His mercy. Because when Allah takes something from you, He's not reducing you, He's preparing you. He's making room for healing, room for clarity, room for blessings that need both hands free to hold. One day you'll understand this delay. One day you'll see why He said no. One day you'll thank Him for every unanswered dua that was actually answered in protection. And on that day you'll smile through tears and whisper, Ya Allah, now I see why you didn't give me what I once begged for. Because His no today is His way of preparing you for the yes. That will change everything. When your soul feels uneasy, that's a sign. You know that feeling? That quiet discomfort in your heart, that weight in your chest when you're about to make a choice, that strange uneasiness around certain people. It's easy to ignore, and it's easy to call it overthinking, and it's easy to tell yourself, I'm just being emotional. But what if that uneasiness isn't random? What if it's not anxiety? What if it's Allah whispering to your soul? My brother, my sister, Allah created you. He designed your heart. He knows how it speaks to you when something isn't right. Sometimes the sign you're begging Him to send is already inside you. That feeling of heaviness, that quiet hesitation before saying yes, that tiny spark of guilt after a decision, it's Allah guiding you without words. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, righteousness brings peace to the soul, and sin is what causes discomfort in the chest. Musnad Ahmad. Read that again. Slowly, peace is the sign, restlessness is the warning. If your heart feels tight, if your soul feels heavy, if your mind is at war even after saying yes, Allah is already telling you, my servant, this path is not good for you. But the problem is, we don't listen. We silence the whispers in our chest because we want what we want. We drown out that uneasiness with noise, distractions, and excuses. We choose to follow our desires, even when our soul is screaming for us to stop. And then later, we pay the price. We cry over choices we were warned about. We grieve over relationships that never felt peaceful to begin with. We suffer, not because Allah didn't guide us, but because we ignored the signs He placed within us. My dear one, your soul is a compass Allah gave you. When you're close to Him, it points toward peace. When you're drifting away, it tightens, it aches, it warns you gently. That uneasiness, and that is mercy, that is love. That is Allah saying, my servant, don't take this step. I want to protect you. Think back. How many times did you feel uneasy before making a choice, but went ahead anyway? And how many times did it end in regret? And how many times did you follow that quiet peace, that soft pull in your chest, and later discovered it led you exactly where you were meant to be? This isn't coincidence. This is divine communication. You ask Allah for a sign, but when He sends it as a feeling, you ignore it because it doesn't arrive in words. You expect dreams, miracles, loud voices, but Allah's signs are often soft, subtle, gentle, because He speaks to the heart long before He speaks to the world around you. Sometimes the soul feels uneasy in a relationship long before your mind catches the red flags. Sometimes your chest feels heavy about a deal, a job, a path, long before the harm arrives. Sometimes a single sentence from someone echoes inside you louder than anything they've ever done. That's not random. That's your Rabb protecting you. Listen to it. Trust it, because Allah will never leave you without guidance. He has given you your heart and placed inside it a radar that pulls you toward what's good and warns you away from what's harmful. But you must be still enough to hear it. You must be brave enough to trust it. The problem is, we confuse desires with guidance. We convince ourselves that because we want something so much, it must be right for us. But not every want comes from Allah. Some come from your nafs. Some come from whispers you can't see. And the only way to tell the difference is to pay attention to the state of your heart. Does it feel light or does it feel heavy? Does it rest or does it ache? Does it open or does it resist? Peace never hides in things Allah disapproves of. And heaviness never hides in things that bring you closer to Him. Sometimes the uneasiness you feel isn't just about the choice itself. It's about what comes after. Allah sees the ripple effect of every decision. He sees the pain it will bring or the barakah it will carry. And your heart, it whispers what your mind cannot yet see. So when your chest tightens before saying yes, pause. When your heart feels heavy about someone's intentions, pause. When you're about to make a decision and something inside you aches without reason, pause. That pause could be the very moment Allah saves you. And sometimes, my brother, my sister, you already know the answer deep inside. Long before anyone says a word, long before reality unfolds, your soul knows. It's that moment when you sit in a gathering and everyone is smiling, laughing, but your heart feels trapped. Your chest feels tight, as if it's trying to whisper, this is not your place. It's when you meet someone and on the surface they seem perfect. The words are sweet, the promises are strong, but your heart, it doesn't settle, it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel at home. And yet what do? We silence it. We tell ourselves that, no, I'm overthinking. No, this is what I want. No, it'll be fine. But Allah has placed inside you the whisper no one else can hear. A compass that points to what your eyes can't yet see. A signal that trembles when something isn't aligned with your destiny. Every time you ignore it, you drift further from peace. And every time you follow it, you find yourself exactly where you were meant to be. Remember, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, consult your heart, even if the people give you their verdict again and again. Musnad Ahmad. Subhanallah. Do you see the mercy in this? You don't need the world to approve your choice. You don't need everyone to agree with you. Sometimes the loudest truth comes from the quietest place within you. And Allah made it this way so that you never feel lost, even when the world confuses you, even when people pull you in every direction. Even when your mind is drowning in what ifs, Allah gave you a signal that never lies, your heart's state before Him. Think of the last time you prayed istikhara. Do you remember what you felt afterward? Not a dream, not a sign written on a wall, just a feeling. That's the beauty of it. Allah answers your dua by placing sakana, calmness, or by placing restlessness. One makes you move forward with light. The other warns you to pause. And yet, so many times we run toward what makes our chest heavy because our desires are louder than our whispers. And then we cry later, asking Allah to rescue us from what He warned us about all along. My dear one, never ignore what your soul is trying to tell you. And if every time you're around someone you leave feeling smaller, weaker, further from Allah, that's a sign. If every time you're about to choose a path, you lose your sleep, you lose your peace, you lose your du'as, that's a sign. If every time you try to force something, your heart feels heavier, your prayers feel distant, your soul feels unsettled, that's a sign. It's Allah placing a quiet barrier between you and what would harm you. You ask Him for guidance, and when it comes as discomfort, you call it doubt. You ask Him for clarity, and when He places uneasiness in your chest, you dismiss it as fear. You beg Him for protection, and when He gives you heaviness around a choice, you assume it's just anxiety. But my brother, my sister, it is Allah Himself guiding you in ways the mind can't comprehend. Sometimes the uneasiness isn't even about haram. Sometimes it's not about sin at all. It's about timing, and it's about readiness. It's about where your soul is meant to grow. That business deal might look perfect, but your chest feels tight because Allah knows your heart isn't prepared for its trials. That friendship might look harmless, but your soul aches around them because Allah sees what you don't, conversations you haven't heard, intentions you can't yet see. That move you're planning might seem exciting, but something deep inside keeps resisting it, and later you discover Allah was saving you from what your eyes couldn't detect. And the opposite is true too. Have you noticed how peace feels? That softness in your heart? When you make a choice aligned with Allah's plan, that weight lifted from your chest. When you finally surrender what wasn't written for you, that calm silence within you. When you're where you're meant to be, that too is a sign. That too is Allah speaking without words. But to hear these whispers, you must protect the heart they speak to. A heart constantly distracted, constantly drowning in sin, constantly far from dhikr, struggles to distinguish warning from desire. The closer you are to Allah, the clearer the signals become. The further you drift, the louder the noise gets, and the softer the whispers feel. So keep your heart connected to the one who placed guidance inside it. Fill it with His remembrance. Anchor it in His words. So when it trembles, you'll know why. And when it feels at peace, you'll trust it. My brother, my sister, don't ignore the uneasiness. Don't fight the heaviness. Don't silence the whispers Allah placed in your soul. Because sometimes the warning comes long before the storm arrives. Sometimes your heart feels the harm before your mind can explain it. Sometimes Allah protects you in ways you won't understand until much later. And one day you'll look back at all the times you paused, all the times you trusted the whisper, and all the times you let go when it hurt. And you'll realize every moment of discomfort was divine protection, pulling you closer to peace. Repeated patterns are divine alarms. You've noticed it, haven't you? The same heartbreak again. The same betrayal again. The same kind of people hurting you again. Different faces, different situations, but somehow the same story repeats. And you sit there broken, asking yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always end up here? But my brother, my sister, what if it's not just happening? What if this isn't random? What if this is Allah speaking to you in a language louder than words? Repeated pain, repeated patterns, repeated heartbreak are not accidents. They are divine alarms. Sometimes Allah sends whispers to your heart. He gives you signs through uneasiness, through red flags, through small warnings. But when you ignore them, He makes the lessons louder. And when you keep ignoring them, He makes the lessons repeat. Because Allah loves you too much to let you stay where you're being harmed. He will send you the same pattern again and again until you finally see what He's been trying to show you. Think about it. How many times have you trusted too quickly only to be hurt the same way again? How many times have you ignored your heart's warning only to fall into the same trap again? How many times have you begged Allah for clarity, and instead of listening to the uneasiness, you followed your desires and ended up back in the same heartbreak? That's not coincidence, that's communication. Allah speaks to you, not only through what He gives, but also through what He repeats. Sometimes He sends the same type of people, so you'll finally learn to set boundaries. Sometimes He sends the same heartbreak, so you'll finally stop chasing love in places He never wrote it for you. Sometimes He allows the same door to close again and again until you understand it was never meant to open for you. It's not cruelty, it's mercy, it's protection. But we misunderstand it. We cry and ask, why me, Ya Allah? Why do you keep putting me through this? And Allah in His silent mercy is saying, my servant, this is not me punishing you. This is me guiding you. I'm showing you something you haven't seen yet. Every repeated pattern carries a hidden message. Every cycle of pain has wisdom buried beneath it. But until you pause, until you reflect, until you surrender your desire to Allah's will, the lessons will return. Not because Allah wants to hurt you, but because He refuses to let you settle for less than what He has written for you. Think of it like this. When a child keeps running toward fire, a loving parent pulls them back. If the child fights harder, the parent holds on tighter. And if the child runs back again, the parent raises their voice, not to punish, not to harm, but to protect. And when Allah repeats lessons in your life, it's because your soul is running toward fire, while your heart is blinded by light. Sometimes the pattern isn't in other people, it's in you. The way you give too much too quickly to those who haven't earned it. The way you forgive too easily without setting healthy boundaries. The way you chase what Allah is removing instead of trusting where He's leading you. Allah keeps showing you the same story until you finally see your role in it. Because the moment you learn, the moment you shift, the moment you choose differently, the pattern breaks. There's something powerful in this. Repeated heartbreak isn't always about losing love. Sometimes it's Allah teaching you what real love isn't. Repeated failure isn't always about humiliation. Sometimes it's Allah redirecting you to a path where your rizq and barakah are waiting. Repeated delays aren't punishments, and sometimes it's Allah protecting you from a blessing arriving before you're ready to hold it. Everything repeats until you learn what Allah wants your heart to know. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what keeps repeating in my life? Is it disappointment? Is it betrayal? Is it people taking you for granted? Is it heartbreak after heartbreak? These aren't random cycles. These are divine alarms telling you to stop, to reflect, to return. Sometimes Allah sends the same pattern because He's waiting for you to choose differently. Not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to grow. And maybe you've been asking Allah for clarity, but instead of sending new answers, He's showing you the same story until you finally see it clearly. Because clarity doesn't always come as something new. Sometimes it comes as repetition. Ani. And one day, when you finally step back, when you finally choose differently, when you finally trust Allah's redirections, you'll look back and whisper, Ya Allah, I see it now. You were protecting me every single time. You'll understand why the same faces kept changing, but the pain felt the same. You'll realize that none of it was punishment. It was all preparation. Preparation for a heart that no longer settles for what hurts it. Preparation for a soul that knows how to trust its Rabb, even when the world feels unclear. Preparation for the blessing that won't repeat the pain. You've been carrying all this time. This is how Allah speaks without words, through patterns, through repetition, through cycles that seem endless until the moment you wake up to His guidance. Listen, reflect, surrender. Because the moment you do, you'll step out of the pattern and into the plan. You see, my brother, my sister, Allah loves you too much to let you sleepwalk into the same heartbreak forever. So He lets the pain repeat, not to break you, but to wake you. Because repetition is revelation. It's His way of saying, my servant, do you see it now? Do you feel it now? Will you trust me now? Think about your life for a moment. The people you've met, the paths you've walked, the choices you've made. Do you notice how some things keep returning? How the same wounds find you again and again? How the same kind of heartbreak seems to wear a different face each time? This isn't random. This is a mirror Allah holds up gently to your soul. And it's His way of saying, there is something here you haven't healed yet. There is something you haven't learned yet. And I love you too much to let you keep missing it. Sometimes the pattern is meant to teach you patience. Sometimes it's meant to teach you self-respect. Sometimes it's meant to teach you tawakkul, to let go of people and hold on to Allah instead. Because if you keep searching for love in hands that cannot hold you, Allah will let those hands slip again and again until your heart finally returns to the one who has always been holding you. How many times have you chased after someone who didn't value you and still hoped this time would be different? How many times have you given your heart away before protecting it with istikhara and watching for Allah's signs? How many times have you ignored that tiny voice inside whispering, this isn't right, because your desire was louder than your guidance? And each time you cried the same tears, you felt the same emptiness, you whispered the same dua, Ya Allah, why does this keep happening to me? But what if all along Allah was answering that dua through the very patterns breaking you? You ask for clarity, He sends red flags, you ignore them, so He sends heartbreak, you ignore the lesson, so He sends it again and again and again, not because He wants to punish you, but because He refuses to let you stay blind to what would destroy you. Sometimes the pattern isn't about the other person at all, it's about you, about the way you abandon yourself to please others, about the way you confuse patience with tolerating harm, about the way you confuse effort with chasing what Allah has already removed. The repetition is a mirror. It's Allah saying, my servant, the harm doesn't change because you haven't changed the way you let it in. Do you know why Allah makes some lessons hurt? Because sometimes that's the only way they'll reach the heart. You'd never leave the wrong person. If they never hurt you, you'd never give up a harmful habit. If it never drained you, you'd never surrender to Allah's plan. If your own plans always worked. So He allows a heartbreak deep enough and to wake you. He allows a failure heavy enough to turn you back to Him. He allows a delay long enough to teach you patience. You couldn't have learned any other way. This isn't punishment. This is preparation. Because what Allah has written for you requires a stronger heart, a clearer soul, a trust so unshakable that nothing and no one can pull you away from Him again. And so the patterns repeat until your heart is ready to rise. Sometimes the most loving thing Allah can do is allow you to break. Because when you break, you stop pretending you can fix yourself. You finally look up. You finally return. You finally whisper, Ya Allah, guide me. I can't do this without you. And that whisper, that surrender, is what the repetition was always leading you to. My brother, my sister, don't be angry at the patterns. Don't hate the repetition. Don't resent the heartbreak that keeps finding you. Instead, pause, reflect, ask yourself, what is Allah trying to show me? What am I not seeing yet? What haven't I surrendered? Because once you finally align your choices with His will, the pattern ends, and when it ends, you'll understand why it had to repeat. One day, you'll look back and realize those repeated heartbreaks were Allah teaching you how to protect your heart, those repeated failures. Were Allah guiding you toward a rizq that carried peace instead of burden, those repeated delays. Were Allah shaping your patience so your blessing could arrive at the perfect time? Every repetition had a reason. Every cycle had a lesson. Every heartbreak carried mercy. You couldn't see then, but will thank Him for later. And on that day, you'll whisper through tears, Ya Allah, You were protecting me all along. You never abandoned me. Every again was you guiding me back to you. Doors that refuse to open are mercy in disguise. You tried everything. You planned, you prayed, you knocked on the door that looked perfect for you. You told yourself, if this opens, my life will finally make sense. You watched the handle, you pressed your forehead against the wood, you begged, Ya Allah, just this one door. But it did not open. You tried again. You pushed your hopes into the keyhole. You rewrote your CV, you sent one more message, you called one more time, you waited one more week. Still, nothing moved. You sat on the floor of your heart and asked, why? Why does it feel like the whole world has a way in and I don't? Why does every path seem to welcome others but close when I arrive? Why does the thing I want most stay one step beyond my reach? Listen gently. A door that refuses to open is not always an enemy. Sometimes it is a friend wearing a hard face, and sometimes it is mercy with a firm hand. Sometimes it is Allah answering your dua with protection you didn't recognize. You see a beautiful frame. Allah sees the room behind it. You see a shining handle. Allah knows what waits on the other side. You see the shortest route. Allah sees the cliff at the end of that road, so He keeps it shut. Not to punish you, not to embarrass you, and not to humiliate you in front of your hopes, but to keep you safe from a pain you cannot see yet. Think of a parent who locks a cabinet because there is a knife inside. The child cries, "Why can't I play with the shiny thing?" The parent says nothing, just closes the door and keeps the key. This is not cruelty, it is love. This is not rejection, it is rescue. How many times did you say, "This job will heal my life," only to learn later that it would have taken your health, your salah, your peace? How many times did you whisper, "This person is my future," only to discover that they would have dragged your heart into a storm? How many times did you chase a city, a visa, a stage, a chance, and years later you understood, "Ya Allah, thank you for not letting me in"? When a door does not open, Allah is not late, He is careful. He is Al-Hakam, the all-wise. He is Al-Lataf, the subtle, the gentle, who arranges details you don't even notice. He is Al-Alim, the all-knowing, who sees the knot you can't untie, the conversation you were not present for, the trap hidden under a red carpet you are measuring with minutes and days. He is arranging with lifetimes and destinies. You push and the lock will not turn. You say, "Maybe if I just try harder." But sometimes harder is not the answer, and sometimes softer is. Softer hands, softer ego, softer surrender. There is a kind of dignity in stepping back from a door Allah has sealed. There is a kind of faith in saying, "My Rabb knows, I don't." There is a kind of courage in saving your tears for sujood instead of the doorstep. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And whoever is mindful of Allah, He will make for him a way out and provide for him from where he does not expect. At-Talaq 65 verse 2-3. A way out is also a way away from the door that looked golden and gentle, but was not written for you. Provision from where you did not expect often means from the door you did not choose. He will open what you never considered and close what you could not stop thinking about. Closed doors teach you to love the opener more than the opening. They teach you to put your head on the prayer mat, not on the wood of your plans. They teach you that rizq is not locked behind a single handle. Rizq travels with you when you travel with Allah. You said, "But it looks right." Not everything that looks right is safe. You said, "But I feel ready." Not everything your heart feels ready for is ripe. You said, "But I did istikhara." Sometimes the answer to istikhara is a heaviness that does not leave, a path that never clears, a door that won't move no matter how kind your knock is. What if the waiting you hate is Allah moving danger out of your way? What if the no you keep hearing is Allah keeping your name off of a list of people who would be hurt there? What if the silence is Allah telling you, "My servant, not this, not now, not here." Think of the sea before it parts. It looks like a wall. Think of the night before Fajr. It looks like endless dark. Think of the seed under the soil. It looks like burial, but the sea opens, the dawn arrives, the seed becomes a garden. A closed door can be the sea before it parts. Do not call it a prison. It may be a path in disguise. You say, "Everyone else got in. Everyone else is not you. Your tests are tailored, your timings are tailored, your doors are tailored. Allah did not copy-paste your destiny from someone else's story. He wrote yours by hand. Sometimes He delays you so that a storm ahead can pass. And sometimes He delays you so that your iman can grow roots deep enough to carry what is coming. Sometimes He delays you because what you want will shrink you, and what He wants will stretch you into the person your dua truly needs you to become. It is not only where you arrive, it is who you are when you arrive. He is building the traveler, not just mapping the trip. If a door could talk, it might say, I am protecting you from me. If the lock could speak, it might say, I am holding back a hurt you cannot see. If your future could whisper, it might say, please be patient with your present. I am on my way. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Ash-Shar 94:5-6. Ease does not always come through the door you are kicking. Sometimes it comes by turning around and seeing another door slightly open with light spilling under it. Sometimes it comes by sitting with Allah long enough to hear your heart settle, and then walking where the calm is, not where the noise is. Imagine a corridor of many doors. Some are loud, flashing, calling your name. One is plain, simple, almost invisible. You pass it because it looks too ordinary to be your miracle. But the mercy you need often dresses in simple clothes. Great gifts often come in plain wrapping, and you cry, but I did everything right. Doing everything right does not force the door to open. Doing everything right prepares you for whichever door Allah opens. Your effort is for your growth. The opening is for His timing. Do not call yourself a failure because a door did not open. You did not fail, like you were filtered away from what would have cost you your salah, your smile, your sleep, your worth, filtered towards something your dua asked for in words you forgot you said. When you asked for peace, Allah said yes, and peace cannot live behind every door. When you asked for halal rizq, Allah said yes, and halal rizq does not sit in every office or under every contract. When you asked for a spouse who pulls you closer to Jannah, Allah said yes. And not every pretty story is a path to Jannah, so He closes what is noisy and beautiful and opens what is quiet and true. If your hands hurt from knocking, place them in dua. If your forehead hurts from leaning on plans, place it in sujood. If your feet ache from standing at the wrong threshold, turn around and walk back to Allah. You will never be far from the right door when you are close to the one who opens them. Do not confuse long silence with never. Do not confuse gentle refusal with nobody wants me. Do not confuse hidden preparation with nothing is happening. Under the ground, a seed is busy even when you can't see movement. Inside the cocoon, the wings are forming in darkness. Behind your closed door, Allah is arranging names, times, papers, routes, hearts. You are not behind. You are being aligned. There is a version of you that can hold the blessing without dropping it. There is a version of you that can enter the room without losing Allah inside it. There is a version of you that can receive love without worshipping it. Receive success without forgetting who sent it. Receive position without looking down on those still waiting in the hall. Allah is building that version. Closed doors are part of that build. Tell your heart, we will not beg wood to become mercy. Tell your eyes, we will not stare at a handle while the sky is wide open. Tell your ego, we will not push when the one we love is pulling us back. Say, Hasbi Allah. Say, Tawakkaltu ala Allah. Say, Rabbi ikhtar la'a. My Lord, choose for me. Then breathe. Then step away from the door with dignity. Then face the corridor again with hope. Because somewhere along that hallway, perhaps behind a door you didn't even mark, is the place your name has been written on the inside. And when you reach it, you will not have to force it. The handle will be soft. The lock will remember you. The door will open like it has been waiting for your knock since the day you were born. On that day you will whisper, Ya Allah, now I see. I see why you made me late. I see why you made me wait. I see why you kept me out. I see why you taught me to trust the writer more than the route. Until that day, hold this close. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى لِلَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And whoever relies upon Allah, He is sufficient for him. At-Talaq 65:3. Sufficient when doors refuse you, sufficient when timelines scare you, sufficient when people do not choose you, sufficient when plans unravel in your hands. Place your cheek on the prayer mat tonight and say, my Lord, if this door is not good for my deen, my dunya or my akhirah, but then keep it closed even if my heart cries for it, and open for me a door that carries your pleasure even if I don't recognize it at first. Then rise with calm, do what is halal, leave what is doubtful, keep your tongue busy with remembrance and your hands busy with effort. Walk with grace past the door that will not open. Walk with gratitude toward whatever Allah opens next. And if the whole way feels long, remember, the mercy you need is walking toward you too. Not everything you are seeking is ahead. Some of it is already on its way back to you. Sometimes, my brother, my sister, the closed door is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a better one you cannot yet see. You see rejection. Allah sees redirection. You see silence. Allah sees the noise He is saving you from. You see delay. Allah sees the perfect alignment of time, place, and people. There is no randomness in the way Allah writes your life. Not a leaf falls without His knowledge. Not a heartbeat skips without His permission. Not a single door opens or refuses to without His wisdom behind it. Indeed, your Lord is most knowing of what is in the hearts. Surah Al-Isra 17:25. He knows your intention. He knows your effort. He knows how much you prayed for that opportunity, that person, that future. And still, He kept it closed. Not because He didn't hear you, not because you didn't try enough, not because you're unworthy, but because He loves you too much to let you enter a room that would harm you while you call it a blessing. Sometimes the danger is invisible. Sometimes the harm is quiet. Sometimes the heartbreak is hidden behind glitter and smiles. You see light shining through the cracks of the door, but Allah knows it's fire on the other side, and so He keeps you out. And yet, how often do we fight Him? How often do we knock harder, cry louder, push stronger, as if His wisdom can be undone by our persistence? We confuse stubbornness with faith. We think trying harder is always the answer when sometimes surrender is. Because some doors are tests, not targets. Some doors are meant to teach you patience, not to open for you. But you are not being forgotten. You are being protected. Think of the times you wanted something so desperately, and years later you whispered, Ya Allah, thank you for not giving me what I once begged for. This will happen again. The door that breaks your heart today will make your sujood deeper. The delay that confuses you now will make your trust unshakable tomorrow. The no you are crying over today is planting the roots of a yes you cannot even imagine yet. Be patient with the way Allah writes your story. What looks like denial may be divine timing. What feels like silence may be protection. What seems like nothing happening, it may be everything being prepared. And it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and you love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. This ayah is a soft blanket for every restless soul. It is Allah saying, my servant, trust me beyond what you can see. When a door refuses you, pause your feet and open your heart. Because often it's not a sign of never. It's a sign of not yet. You think you're ready for the blessing, but the blessing isn't ready for you yet. Sometimes it needs time to ripen. Sometimes you need time to grow roots deep enough to hold it. Sometimes the people connected to your blessing aren't in place yet, so Allah slows you down so your paths meet at the perfect moment. Do you remember Yusuf A.S.? The door of the palace wasn't open for him at first. The doors of betrayal closed behind him. The doors of the prison shut in his face. Years passed in silence, and yet every no was building him. Every closed door was polishing his heart, aligning his destiny, shaping him for a position he could not yet carry. Until one day the doors opened wide, not as a servant, but as a king. Your closed doors today may be building the throne of your tomorrow. Sometimes the most beautiful thing Allah can do for you is to keep you out of what you think you want. Because not every open door leads to light, and not every closed door hides darkness. Sometimes what you're praying for is less than what Allah has written, and you deserve what He wrote, because He writes with love, even when you read it as loss. Stop standing at doors that will not open. Stop breaking your hands on locked handles. Stop thinking Allah forgot you just because He protected you from what you begged Him for. Walk away with dignity, because walking away from what Allah has closed always walks you closer to what He has prepared. And when that door finally arrives, you won't have to knock endlessly. You won't have to force your way in. You won't have to cry for space where your name is already written. It will open softly, like it has been waiting for you all along. And when it does, you will forget every hallway of no that came before. Tonight, when you make dua, don't just ask for open doors. Ask for the right doors. Ask for the safe doors. Ask for the doors that won't take you away from Allah, but will pull you closer to Him. Say, Ya Allah, if this door is good for my dunya and akhirah, make it easy for me. And if it is not, then close it. And give me a heart that thanks you for protecting me. And one day, when you're standing in front of what Allah was preparing you for, you'll look back and whisper, Ya Allah, now I see. Every closed door was mercy dressed as delay. Delays are shields, not punishments. You've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for the dua to be answered, waiting for the blessing to arrive, waiting for the moment when all the pieces finally come together. You thought it would happen by now. You planned for it, you dreamed about it, you prayed for it over and over again. And yet here you are, still waiting, still hoping, still wondering why everyone else seems to move forward while you're standing still. You whisper late at night, oh, Ya Allah, have you forgotten me? But my brother, my sister, if only you knew, if only you could see what your Rabb sees, if only you understood the beauty of divine timing, you would never mistake this delay for punishment. Delays are not rejections, they are shields. Sometimes Allah slows you down because rushing would destroy you. Sometimes He holds you back because the blessing isn't ready. Sometimes He holds the blessing back because you aren't ready. And sometimes the thing you're begging for is good in itself, but arriving too soon would break you. Think of a fruit on a tree. Pick it before its time, and it's bitter, hard, unripe. But leave it a little longer, and it becomes sweet, soft, and nourishing. Your blessings are the same. When Allah delays, it is because He wants to give you something complete, something without poison hidden inside, something you can hold without losing your peace. You see stillness as a curse. Allah sees it as preparation. You see silence as abandonment. Allah sees it as protection. You see delays as wasted time. Allah sees them as seasons where He's growing you quietly, strengthening you gently, equipping you with everything you'll need to carry what's coming. And it may be that you dislike something while it is good for you, and you love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. This ayah isn't just for heartbreak. It's for every waiting heart. It's for every restless soul asking, why not now? My dear one, Allah delays because the version of you today cannot yet hold the blessing written for you tomorrow. The door you're praying for may open, yes, but will you be strong enough to handle what's behind it? The job you're asking for may come, yes, but will it cost you your salah, your health, your peace? The person you're dreaming of may arrive, yes, but are you ready to receive them without losing yourself? Allah knows the weight of every blessing. He knows the shape of your hands, the strength of your heart, the cracks in your soul. And so, in His mercy, He waits. He waits until you're ready. He waits until the storm passes. He waits until what's coming is wrapped in peace, not pain. Sometimes the delay isn't about you at all. It's about what's ahead. The road you're on may look empty now, but Allah knows there's a storm further down. He slows you down so that by the time you reach that place, the storm has already passed. He delays your arrival so you don't walk into heartbreak unprepared. He delays your success so it doesn't arrive in the hands of the wrong people. He delays your plans so your risk lands exactly where your sujood will be safe. This isn't punishment, this is mercy. But we are impatient creatures. We beg for the seed to bloom before the roots are even strong enough to hold it. We cry for the rain to fall before the soil has been prepared. We demand the cake before it's risen in the oven. And when Allah says not yet, we mistake it for never. But not yet is one of the most beautiful answers He can ever give you. Look back at your life. How many times did Allah delay something you desperately wanted, only for you to later whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for protecting me from what I thought I needed. That person you begged for, now you see their true face. That job you cried over, now you see the stress and compromise it carries. That path you thought was perfect, now you see the doors Allah opened instead. Every delay is love you didn't recognize at the time. Sometimes Allah delays because He knows that if He gave you what you wanted now, you would love the gift more than the giver. And so He waits. He waits until your heart is anchored in Him, so that when the blessing arrives, you won't worship it. You'll worship the one who gave it. And maybe, just maybe, this waiting is building you. It's teaching you sabr in a way books cannot. It's teaching you tawakkul in a way lectures cannot. It's teaching you to pray deeper, to cry softer, to trust stronger. Because without delays, there is no surrender. Without surrender, there is no intimacy with Allah. My brother, my sister, you are not late. You are being aligned with your rizq, aligned with your healing, aligned with the people written for you, aligned with the future you keep begging for. But on Allah's terms, not yours. And His terms are always better. Do you know what hurts the most? It's not just the waiting, it's watching everyone else move forward while you feel stuck. They're getting married, they're building careers, they're traveling, they're living the life you once prayed for. And you're still here waiting, praying, trying to understand why Allah hasn't written the same speed for you. But my brother, my sister, Allah's timing is never measured against someone else's clock. Your path was never meant to look like theirs. Your rizq has its own hour. Your love has its own season. Your breakthrough has its own dawn. If Allah made everything arrive when you wanted, you would destroy yourself without realizing it. If He gave you every blessing instantly, you'd walk into rooms unprepared, into relationships unequipped, and into tests without armor. So He delays not to hurt you, but to prepare you. A mother delays giving her child solid food because she knows the stomach isn't ready yet. A teacher delays giving an exam because the student hasn't learned enough yet. A gardener delays harvesting the crop because the fruit isn't ripe yet. And Allah, who loves you infinitely more than any mother, any teacher, any gardener, delays because He knows exactly what your heart can handle right now. Sometimes the blessing itself isn't ready. The spouse you're praying for is still being shaped by tests you can't see. The rizq you're waiting for is still being moved into a place of barakah. The opportunity you're dreaming of is still aligning with the right people and timing. And so Allah delays your arrival until everything He has written is perfectly in place. But sometimes the delay is about you. You think you're ready. You believe your heart can carry it, but Allah sees the cracks you don't. He knows the wounds you haven't healed yet. He knows the desires you haven't tamed yet. He knows the whispers that would pull you away from Him if He gave you the gift too soon. So He waits, not to punish you, to protect you. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. This is the ayah for every waiting heart, and it whispers, you are not being abandoned, you are being prepared. Rely on Him, trust Him, surrender to His timing, because His plan for you is written by the one who loves you more than you could ever love yourself. Look back at your life, how many delays turned into blessings you couldn't see at the time. That heartbreak you cried over It saved you from a lifetime of storms. That job you didn't get, it led you to a risk that came with peace, not poison. That path you thought you failed at, it was Allah redirecting you to something better, something safer, something softer for your heart. Every not yet, it was a not here. Because what's written for you cannot be rushed, and cannot be stolen, cannot be missed. And maybe right now you feel like Allah isn't listening. You've made the same dua 1,000 times and the silence feels unbearable. But silence is also an answer. Silence means the dua is still alive. It means the angels are still carrying it. It means the preparation is still unfolding. Sometimes Allah delays because He loves hearing your voice in dua. Sometimes He delays because your closeness to Him right now is sweeter than the blessing you're begging for. And sometimes He delays because what's coming is far greater than what you asked for. Do you know what's beautiful? When Allah finally gives, He gives so completely that the weight feels small. He gives so generously that the pain melts away. He gives so perfectly that you'll look back and say, Ya Allah, I would have waited twice as long for this. And you'll mean it. Until that day comes, don't measure Allah's love by how quickly He answers. Measure it by how perfectly He answers. Because when Allah delays, He is working in unseen ways. He is rearranging timelines. He is softening hearts. He is removing harm before you arrive. He is writing a chapter you haven't yet turned to. Tonight, when you sit with your restlessness, tell your heart this: you are not forgotten. You are being hidden for something greater. The waiting is not wasted. The delay is not punishment. Allah is protecting me, building me, aligning me with what He has already written. And when the day arrives, when the prayer you whispered years ago finally manifests, when the door you thought was locked forever opens gently, when the dream you carried quietly becomes your reality, you will whisper through tears, Ya Allah, you were never late. I was simply early. The dreams you keep seeing aren't always random. You keep seeing it, don't you? The same dream, the same face, the same place, the same story. Over and over again. You wake up in silence, your heart pounding, your chest tightened, and you whisper to yourself, why do I keep dreaming this? And deep down, you wonder if it means something, if Allah is trying to tell you something, if your soul knows a secret your mind has yet to uncover. My brother, my sister, not every dream is random. Not every vision that keeps returning is meaningless. Sometimes Allah speaks to us when the world is silent, when the noise of the day fades, and the soul drifts into a realm unseen by waking eyes. The heart begins to hear whispers. The mind ignores when awake. There are dreams that come from your thoughts, the things you worry about, the faces you see daily, the fears you carry quietly. These come and go, fading as quickly as the morning light. But then there are the other dreams, the ones that stay, the ones that repeat, the ones that cling to your chest long after you open your eyes. These are not always random. Sometimes they are signs. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the good dream of a believer is one of the 46 parts of prophethood. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. Subhanallah, do you feel the weight of that? Some dreams are not imagination. They are inspiration. They are a form of divine mercy. A quiet conversation between Allah and the heart of His servant. When Allah wants to reach you, He sometimes waits until the world can't interrupt. Until your phone is silent, until your thoughts are still, until your soul drifts beyond the veil of dunya, into the realm where hearts are whispered to directly. In that silence, He sends hints, gentle reminders, echoes of warnings, flashes of comfort. Sometimes He sends a dream to prepare you, to soften your heart for what's coming, to give you courage before the test arrives, to show you that He is close, long before your reality confirms it. Sometimes He sends a dream to protect you, to make you pause before stepping into harm, to pull you away from something or someone you've been blind to while awake. And sometimes He sends a dream simply to remind you, my servant, I am here. I know your fears. I hear your dua. I have not forgotten you. But here is the secret. Not every dream will make sense immediately. Sometimes it's a puzzle, sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's just one repeated image, one familiar scene, or one face you cannot ignore. That confusion is also part of the plan, because dreams aren't always meant to answer your questions. Sometimes they're meant to awaken them. Think of Yusuf A.S. He saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing to him. He didn't understand it then. Years passed, doors opened, doors closed, hearts broke, seasons changed, and then one day, the dream became his reality. Not because he chased the dream, but because he trusted the one who sent it. My dear one, if a dream repeats, pause and reflect, not with fear, not with obsession, but with calmness, with curiosity, with remembrance. And ask yourself, does this pull me closer to Allah or distract me from Him? Because good dreams do not pull you away from your Rabb. They guide you closer. They remind you of tawakkul, of patience, of hope. Peace. And sometimes the dream is simply Allah answering a dua. Your tongue was too tired to speak out loud. You beg Him for guidance, and He shows you a sign while you sleep. You beg Him for comfort, and He gives you peace in a vision. You beg Him for a way out, and He places clarity in your heart before your eyes ever see it. But here's the truth no one tells you. The more connected you are to Allah while awake, the clearer His whispers become when you sleep. A heart distracted by dunya becomes noisy even at rest. But a heart anchored in dhikr becomes a place where dreams carry light, where warnings are easier to read, where comfort is easier to feel. Not every recurring dream is divine. Yes, some come from worry, some from desire, some from fear. But when the same dream keeps returning and it leaves your heart unsettled, pay attention, and it could be a whisper, it could be a shield, it could be Allah saying softly, "My servant, look again." And one day, when time has passed and pieces finally align, you'll look back and realize that dream wasn't random. It was a message and a preparation, a protection. It was Allah speaking to you long before you even knew what to ask for. There are moments in life when the soul speaks louder than the mind, when the heart carries whispers from the unseen. While your thoughts are still trapped in dunya, dreams belong to that realm. They are conversations between your soul and its creator, and a language written without words, spoken without sound, understood only by the heart. And sometimes Allah chooses that realm to reach you. There are warnings you can't hear while awake because your desires are too loud and your plans too stubborn, your heart too attached. So He waits. He waits for the moment when dunya sleeps and the noise fades, when the ego quiets and the soul drifts into a place where it finally remembers Him without distraction. In that stillness, He shows you pieces of what you cannot yet see. Sometimes it's a face, sometimes a path, sometimes a simple feeling you carry into the next day. A heaviness, a softness, a certainty. Not every dream is meant to make sense instantly. Sometimes it's a door half opened. Sometimes it's a lantern lit ahead of time. Sometimes it's an answer without explanation. And this is the beauty of Allah's wisdom. Because if He showed you everything at once, you'd rely on the dream instead of Him. So He gives you just enough to make you pause, to make you reflect, to make you turn back to Him and ask, "Ya Allah, what are you telling me?" The Prophet taught us something beautiful. When one of you sees a dream he loves, then it is from Allah. So let him praise Allah for it and speak of it if he wishes. And when he sees something he dislikes, then it is from shaitan. So let him seek refuge in Allah and not mention it to anyone, and it will not harm him. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. Subhanallah, this hadith alone is a map. Good dreams are gifts. They bring sakana, a sense of calm and closeness to Allah. They nudge you toward patience, hope, and tawakkul. They settle your heart even when your reality feels stormy. But the opposite is also true. Some dreams disturb you, unsettle you, make you fearful. These are not divine messages. They are whispers meant to distract, not to guide. And Allah, in His mercy, has given you protection even here. seek refuge, and turn to dhikr, return to Him, and the harm will dissolve like mist under the sun. But what about those dreams that repeat, the ones that return so often? You wake up with a strange sense of déjà vu. Sometimes that repetition is divine insistence. Allah is drawing your attention to something. You've been too busy to notice while awake. It could be a habit harming you quietly. It could be a person whose intentions aren't pure. It could be a path you're about to walk that would lead you far from Him. And sometimes it's none of these. Sometimes it's just Allah reminding you, my servant, you asked me for guidance. I am showing you where your peace lives. Don't ignore the signs. Dreams are also mirrors. They reveal what the heart carries, even when the mind pretends to forget. They bring hidden fears to the surface, and they replay unspoken prayers. They echo the wounds you've been too busy to heal. So when a dream unsettles you, don't panic. Pause, reflect, ask yourself, what is my soul trying to tell me? Because sometimes the dream isn't about the future. It's about the present. It's about showing you where your heart truly stands with Allah, with people, with yourself. And then there are the dreams of comfort, the ones that arrive when your nights feel endless, when your sujood carries more tears than words, when you whisper, Ya Allah, I'm tired. He answers you in a way no one else can. He sends you light in the shape of a dream that wraps your heart in reassurance, a reminder that He has heard you, a reminder that He has not forgotten you, a reminder that what's written for you is moving quietly toward you, even when you see no movement at all. But here's the secret, my dear one. The more connected you are to Allah when you're awake, the clearer His whispers become when you sleep. A heart cluttered by sin struggles to hear. A heart drowned in distraction struggles to see. But a heart softened by dhikr, anchored in salah and surrendered in tawakkul, becomes a place where divine hints can land softly, without confusion, without noise. Not every recurring dream means action. Some mean reflection, some mean gratitude, and some mean patience. Your role is not to decode every symbol. Your role is to turn back to Allah, the one who sends the dream, and ask Him for clarity, for protection, for peace. Because the goal of the dream is not to make you chase meaning, it's to make you chase Him. And one day, when the pieces of your life finally fit together, you'll look back and smile softly. You'll remember that strange face you kept seeing. You'll recall the place that kept showing up. You'll revisit the feeling that lingered each time you woke up. And you'll whisper, Ya Allah, now I understand. You were guiding me even in my sleep. Every recurring dream is either a compass or a test. A compass pointing you toward Him. A test teaching you to rely on Him more than the dream itself. So tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your heart and say, Ya Allah, if my dreams are from You, make them light for me. If they are not, protect me from their harm. And in all things, let my heart find peace in Your decree. Then close your eyes. Surrender your soul to the One who never sleeps. Because even in the silence of the night, your Rabb is near, watching over you, guiding you gently, in ways you cannot yet see. The people Allah removes carry futures you can't see. You thought they were meant to stay, didn't you? You built dreams with their names stitched into every plan. You pictured futures where they stood beside you. You prayed for them. You cried for them. You asked Allah to keep them. And then one day, they were gone. Maybe they walked away. Maybe they drifted slowly. Maybe Allah Himself pulled them out of your life in ways you couldn't control, in moments you couldn't stop, and it broke you. You sat in silence wondering, Ya Allah, why would You take someone I begged You for? My brother, my sister, not every removal is rejection. Not every departure is abandonment. Sometimes it's divine protection. Allah hears conversations you don't. He sees intentions you can't. He knows the storms hidden behind smiles and the betrayals whispered in shadows. And so in His mercy, He steps in quietly, without warning, without explanation, without asking your permission. Because if He showed you the future, you'd fall to your knees in gratitude for the people He removed. You call it heartbreak. Allah calls it saving your heart. You call it loss. Allah calls it redirection. You call it rejection. Allah calls it choosing you over what would harm you. But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Surah Al-Baqarah 2216. This ayah isn't just about hardship, it's about people too, especially people. Because sometimes the person you thought was your blessing is actually the test you weren't ready for. And Allah, in His infinite wisdom, doesn't just answer your du'as, He protects them. Think back. How many times did you cling to someone you thought you couldn't live without, only to look back years later and whisper, Ya Allah, thank you for removing them? At the time, it felt like a storm. It felt like your whole world collapsed. But today, from where you stand, you see what your tears couldn't back then. Their absence made space for your becoming. Sometimes Allah removes people because they've reached the chapter He wrote them for. Not every character is meant to appear until the end of your story. Some only exist to teach you a lesson, to awaken your strength, to guide you closer to Him. And once their role is complete, He writes them out with mercy. Don't fight for characters. Allah has already written out of your book. And sometimes He removes people because your blessing cannot arrive while they're in the room. There are doors that won't open until certain hands have let go of yours. There are risings that won't come until certain weights are lifted from your soul. There are futures waiting for you that require you to walk lighter, freer, closer to Allah. So He subtracts, not to leave you empty, but to multiply what's coming. I know you're hurting. I know it feels personal. I know it feels like you weren't enough. But their leaving is not a measure of your worth. It's a measure of Allah's care for you. You prayed for guidance, didn't you? You asked Allah to bring you closer to Him, didn't you? Sometimes the answer to that dua is removing the people pulling you away from Him, even when your heart isn't ready to let go. You see, Allah's mercy doesn't always feel soft. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak. Sometimes it feels like unanswered du'as. Sometimes it feels like someone walking away when you had no strength left to chase. But behind that heartbreak is a Rabb who loves you too much to let you build your life around what was never yours. Do you know what's beautiful? Every person Allah removes carries a future you cannot see yet. A future that would have slowed you, distracted you, or quietly destroyed you. And because He loves you, He writes endings before you write regrets. You think they left because you weren't enough. In reality, they left because Allah saw they weren't meant to be part of the you He is shaping. And one day, you'll understand that one day you'll stand inside the blessing Allah was protecting and whisper through tears, Ya Allah, now I see why you took them away. You were making space for this. You'll realize their leaving wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Their absence wasn't emptiness, it was alignment. Tonight, if your chest feels heavy, if your heart aches for the one who left, if your thoughts wander into what if and why not, place your hand on your heart and remind yourself, what's written for me will never require me to beg, chase, or lose myself. Because if Allah wrote it for you, it will find you. And if He removed it, you don't need it to reach what He has prepared. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Sufficient when they leave, sufficient when you don't understand, sufficient when your heart breaks under the weight of silence, sufficient when your prayers feel unanswered. Trust Him, trust the one who writes your story in ink made of mercy and love you cannot yet see. You see, my brother, my sister, we hold on to people as if they are permanent. We build our lives around their presence and our dreams around their promises, our happiness around their love. And then when Allah writes them out of our story, it feels unbearable. You sit there shattered, wondering how you're supposed to keep breathing without the person you thought you couldn't live without. But here is the truth you'll understand one day. Some people leave because they were never meant to walk into the next chapter with you. Every person in your life is written. Some are written for a page, some for a chapter, and a rare few for the entire book. But the one who writes knows the full story. He knows what you can't see yet. He knows which hands would have betrayed you, which hearts would have distracted you, which paths would have led you further from him. So when he removes someone, it is not to leave you empty, but to protect you from futures you cannot yet comprehend. Sometimes Allah removes people because He has already written a version of you that they could never love, never handle, never stand beside. The person you are becoming is someone their presence would have destroyed. So Allah clears the way before He raises you. It hurts now, but one day you'll thank Him for saving the version of you they were never meant to meet. And sometimes He removes people not because they are bad, but because they are not aligned with where He is taking you. Your du'as are shaping a destiny they cannot follow. Your prayers are unlocking rizq their hearts aren't prepared for. Your growth is opening doors that they were never meant to enter. So Allah in His infinite wisdom creates space. Space for blessings, space for alignment, space for a love and rizq that will not compete with your purpose. But we don't see the space. We only see the emptiness. And we call it loneliness, we call it abandonment, we call it rejection. When in reality, it is none of those things. It is Allah rearranging your life so that what He has written can finally find you. Think of Musa A.S. as a baby. His mother had to let him go into a river. She didn't understand, trusting a future she couldn't yet see. To anyone watching it looked like loss, but it was actually preservation. Musa A.S. was being guided away from danger his family couldn't see yet. The removal was protection. The separation was mercy. The same Allah who saved Musa is saving you too. And remember Yusuf A.S. thrown into a well by his own brothers, torn away from his father, seemingly abandoned. And yet every removal in his life was leading him closer to the throne Allah wrote for him. If Yusuf had stayed where he wanted, he would never have become who Allah destined him to be. So trust this, my dear one, and if Allah removes someone, it's because your story is moving forward and not backward. The pain is temporary. The plan is eternal. No, I know the nights are heavy right now. I know you replay memories until they burn. I know you ask yourself, why wasn't I enough? But you were enough for the story Allah wrote for you. You were enough for the season they belong to. And you are enough for the future that awaits you. A future that requires their absence for your blessing to arrive. Sometimes Allah answers your dua by subtracting what you thought you couldn't live without. Because if He didn't, you'd cling to something that would break you quietly. He loves you too much to let you settle. So He takes away before you can make permanent homes in temporary hearts. If someone has left your life, don't chase what Allah has released. Don't beg at doors He's already closed. Don't fight to stay where He's gently pulling you away. Trust His hands, because His hands do not subtract without preparing to multiply. One day you will look back at this heartbreak and it will feel distant, small, even necessary. You'll see the risk that came after. You'll meet the people who stayed. You'll step into the peace that found you and you'll whisper, Ya Allah, now I understand. You'll see that their leaving wasn't the end of your story. It was the start of the chapter where Allah writes something better. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Sufficient when they leave. Sufficient when it hurts. Sufficient when you feel forgotten. Sufficient when you don't understand why. And when Allah becomes sufficient for you, you'll realize you never truly lost anything, because nothing that was written for you can ever be removed from you. Tonight, when you close your eyes, place your heartbreak in His hands and whisper, Ya Allah, if this person was never written for my future, heal my heart from what I wanted and give me contentment with what You've chosen. Then sleep in peace, because the same Rabb who took them away has already written who and what comes next. And one day you will look back and smile softly, Not because the pain was small, but because Allah was greater. You'll realize that every person He removed carried futures you weren't meant to live. And every person He brings up will carry barakah you never imagined. Because what leaves you isn't meant for you. And what's written for you will never leave you. Surrender is where the signs become clear. You've been trying so hard, haven't you? Planning every step, forcing every door, begging Allah for answers, while holding on tightly to your own idea of how life should look. And yet, nothing feels certain. The plans keep falling apart. The people keep changing, and the paths keep shifting beneath your feet. And somewhere in the silence of your nights, you whisper, Ya Allah, what do you want from me? What am I missing? My brother, my sister, you are not missing the signs, you are missing the surrender. Because the signs were never meant to compete with the noise of your desires. They were always meant to guide a heart already willing to let go. And when you finally surrender, that is when the whispers become louder, the signs become clearer, and the path beneath your feet begins to feel lighter. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving in. Giving in to the one who sees what you can't. Giving in to the one who loves you more than you love yourself. Giving in to the plan that was written for you long before you ever learned how to pray for it. You've been taught to fight for everything, for love, for risk, for success, or for control. But surrender teaches you something deeper. The most beautiful things Allah writes for you do not require you to bleed for them. They arrive gently, quietly, perfectly. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. This ayah isn't just a reminder, it's a promise. Sufficient when the door stays shut. Sufficient when the dua feels unanswered. Sufficient when everyone else moves forward while you stand still. Sufficient when your heart aches for what He has already removed. When Allah becomes enough for you, you stop begging the world for signs because you realize He is the sign. You keep asking for clarity, but what if the clarity is already here? What if the red flags were already placed in front of you? What if the delays, the heartbreaks, the closed doors were the answers you've been begging for? The problem is never that Allah is silent. The problem is that we don't want to hear the answer He's already given. Surrender teaches you to trust His no as much as His yes. It teaches you that silence is not neglect, but guidance dressed softly. It teaches you that sometimes the waiting isn't punishment, it's preparation. When you surrender, you stop trying to drag Allah into your plans. Instead, you open your hands and ask Him to guide you to His plans. And when you do that, life stops feeling heavy. Because now, it's not on you to carry every outcome.